Each map has been pretty damn one-sided, and the only thing keeping Spirit in this best-of-5 grand finals is the fact that they struck first on Dust 2 before seemingly Gambit really woke up. Since then, it's been incredibly one-sided, and Tom, I just hope that we get a close map. Like, even if Gambit take it, just please make it close, Spirit, please.
Well, that's the thing. It's really weird. This doesn't feel like it's been like 3 maps of a best of 5. Like, the most rounds a losing team has put up so far is 6, and that was Gambit. It was a 16-6 on Dust 2. Then we had a 16-2 back in their favor, and then a 16-5 on Overpass. And most of the rounds, as said, in the last 2 maps that it seems that Spirit have been winning have been with pistols. Like, they haven't had any convincing rifle rounds. A lot of their players have fallen very, very flat. And now we go into Mirage, a map that, again, statistically, they are pretty damn good at, as are Gambit. They seem to have a very similar map pool going forward. The worry for me is we are going to be, for them to win, we have to go into Inferno, which is actually one of their weaker maps. So I don't know. If anything, I feel like the tides might have changed at this point, and Spirit have got everything to lose, because Gambit, they came in as an underdog. They've been the young rising stars for quite a while now, and it seems like they might be about to come one of the big daddies of the CIS.
Well, there we go, ladies and gents. For maybe the final time of DreamHack Open November, we get into our first pistol on Mirage. Gambit starting on the T side, Spirit on the CT, and it feels to me that Spirit need a good start. They need a rock-solid opening, a 3-4-0 kind of lead, just to put the nerves at bay. They're a team, though, that's pretty experienced. They've been around for quite a while now as this roster, so you'd expect that they aren't going to give this one up. Exile taking a lot of damage through the smoke, and he is the first person in. Doesn't get dropped, though. No way to absolutely know for certain. He's even pushed in, and now Idis Balance finds out firsthand as the Glock rips through his head. Magix has to hold the line, waiting for his teammates to get up close. Exile is low, but Inters holding off on the murder hole, has Chopper that peeks him as well. So they've opened up business through on jungle. Mia spots Nafani down on Firebox. He's looking at the ground. He's praying and hoping for the best. And Exile will be answering his prayers from jungle. He emerges from the leaves, from the trees, and just completely batters Spirit one more time. And even if he dies, Shiro has such a good position, and Sundai Young knows that he's out of time. He's got to get out of there. Gambit will take the pistol again.
How on earth does Axel get 3 kills in this round? He was on 7 HP from almost the beginning. Like, he gets spammed through the connector and then manages to get 3 kills from that point onwards. You have to feel like there needed to be a punish. And this is one of the moments. Like, he's already incredibly low, destroys Magix as well. And then, well, this kill looks almost as silly as the one that came in moments before, like crouching out into the open. I like the initial take from Gambit. I think getting jungle control in the pistol round with an afterplant as strong as that is always going to set you up nicely. But you have to look at Team Spirit there going, how does he get away with that much? And how is he getting kills without players knowing he's there?
They're very viable questions, Tom. And I think going back and watching the demo, Spirit will be hitting their head against the wall. Because a lot of this feels self-inflicted. I don't want to take anything away from Gambit, but I feel like Spirit simply have not shown up as they should be. Magix, though, a player that certainly can turn the tides alongside Idis Balance. That's much more like it. Kills coming in quick succession. Hobbit, no control over the bomb. Has to go over the corpses of his teammates to go retrieve that through apps if he's to pick off this round, but that's a bit of an odd decision from Mia. He gets punished before Sundai Young shows up with the CZ, and so at least, although Spirit do concede a pistol they probably shouldn't have, they bounce straight back into winning ways.
Yeah, really nice stuff from Idis Balance. I think he's one of the highlight players on this map in particular. We look normally at players like Mir, I think, in a lot of these cases. Even in the last few maps, I think Magix has been the highlight. But Idis Balance, the way he controls middle, the way he battles through different portions of the map and plays that rotational sniper so well, it's going to be tough to play against. Of course, this is currently the way they're fighting for mid control, is that old Vega Squadron core that people really struggled to face against, and it seems like those struggles will continue. It's left on Toshiro. There's nothing he can do in Spirit. They have bounced back properly. The shutdown of the initial force after the round lost, and now Gambit are going to have to take themselves an eco.
An eco that will sting, knowing that they had the CT's economy in such a rough, awkward position. Only a flashbang, and pretty much sat in towards the T-spawn suggests to me that waiting for some aggression from Spirit, but they can also treat this as like a timeout, you know, just have a quick discussion amongst themselves about what's coming up next, take it as a bit of a freebie. You're not anticipating really anything to come out of this. The other thing is, well, like if you're clumped together as 5 and Spirit do get aggressive, and likely they'll be pushing more than 2 players in one spot, so effectively that becomes a 2v5. This is a way, not necessarily to bore the enemy out into the open, but to potentially get a weapon away from them and make it just a little bit more costly. Nia now spotting a lot of players running his way. He can back away, has also a player in window, and the round will be getting into shape as expected. They did lose a player, and I'm not sure they'll be able to pick up the M4 in time. That's actually significant. They've just lost an A1S. That's quite a bit of money that goes with it. The Spirit obviously can replenish that gun regardless.
Yeah, that's always the case when it comes to a force buy victory, especially in a position where you're on the CT side, because a lot of the time you're just going to pick up a lot of free weaponry. Your opponents then have to go for riskier force buys that don't normally have much behind them. So you end up with quite a lot of finances in the early stages of this map. And that's exactly what Team Spirit needed. They are now facing up against elimination. A second place is not what they want going into a DreamHack Master. In fact, neither of these teams will particularly want that. However, for Gambit, I think even though they would have come into this tournament feeling confident and looking to battle versus Spirit, a top 2 is still good, especially for such a young and still fairly inexperienced team. In terms of this round, though, they have got some rifles, but there's some pieces missing. A Galil, not perfect. Utility, again, not ideal. And more interestingly is just the default they're currently sat in. Slowly, methodically taking some middle control, though the incendiaries well timed, the distraction allows Mir to pounce, and he has got off to an incredible start in this map. A lot of it involving mid aggression, and he's successful once again.
Exile on the prowl, finds some prey, but it turns out that Mia can give quite a bit of damage in return. I think he did dink Exile, but it was through the wall, so only did 15 HP of damage. Iris Balance finds a bit of success in middle before Inters quells Chopper. Flick from Shiro is good. Iris Balance has been sent packing. 25 seconds, they're forced into an aggression through connector, and Sundai Young played the smoke so well, but suddenly both players die quickly on the site, leaving Magix in a 1-on-2, and neither of these players are low. This is asking a great deal of Magix. He's typically very good in the clutch. Incendiary, very well placed, but Inter's peaks. Again, selflessly acting to try and save his teammate, and he actually reaps the rewards for it. Gambit, that was looking rough. Honestly, Tom, when they lost that many lives in middle, I thought it would just go the way of Spirit, but they battled back to the bitter end.
I think we really do need to highlight that play from Inters as well. Like, that's a moment where your teammate's about to be forced into an angle. So the nuance of his play is that, okay, if I peek with him, we have a dual peek rather than me just trying to play the clutch 1v1. It's selfless, but also it's the smartest move. You make it almost impossible for Magix to win that, but it probably wasn't their initial plan. He just had to work that out on the fly. It's going to give them a second round. Again, though, there was a lot of money built up, so the AWP is back in, and Chopper, he's not had the best of luck when it comes to his aggressive plays, but this is a map that pretty much built up him and Mir's career. This was the one that Vegas Squadron were truly feared on. Hobbit will get rid of him, however, the fight's still coming, and somehow Axile kills off Mir without a single frag going the other way. It leaves just 2 remaining, thanks to Iris Balance now being caught around the connector. And Magix, well, he's seen 3 of his teammates die around a similar angle. It looks like he's going to go for the fight as well.
It did come down to another one of these indecisive rounds, though. Like, Chopper went out aggressively, and he got the pick, but they didn't fully commit behind it, but they kind of dipped their toe in the water. So in doing so, you saw a couple players actually move out of position, and that afforded the chance of that Palace peek from Inters, who got a pick into one of the back players on A. So Chopper goes down after getting 1, then they lose a player on A, and that puts more pressure on Catwalk, it puts more pressure on Window, and Spirit just couldn't deal with it. So these are plays that I hope that we're going to see remedied in the future. Sundai Young, though, holds his nerve. Smoke down. Shiro has to pick up the bomb, does not have the time to mess about here, and Magix makes the most of all the chaos that's coming into play. I think Shiro finally realizes, hold on, I don't have time to mess about. I've got to get right up close, right up personal. Young doesn't assume that he's going to be showing his hand, and Magix was last seen on triple. Hobbit takes him down with 5 seconds, and Gambit slither away.
They did everything right. The remaining players in the last few seconds did everything right. The players on Gambit with a bit of a mistake. They had a player through Palace and assumed that the ramp would be clear. Young plays that perfectly, drops a smoke down, denies them for so long, and all he needed was his teammate to survive. The bomb was never making it to the site. That is a huge slip up, and unfortunately for them, the Gambit have managed to get away with it. Hobbit, I think he only had about 20 HP as well when he gets that final kill, so a little bit lucky to get away with that. Got more opening kills on map. I believe that. Map 2 was rough. He was losing the battle almost every single time when it came to him versus Axile. And that seems to be the battle. They are 2 of the star players of each of their respective rosters. It seems like so much of this match was played upon who wins that duel. If Mir gets away with it, the round normally seems to go their way. If he falls early and Axile's the one gaining, well, Gambit can normally run away with it from there.
It is the snack on B. They're sending over their Mac 10 of Nafani, who's 006 at the moment, and will be hoping to change that in the very near future. So he'll stay around in this position. Only caught 2 players looking into apps. Now they find out that A is clear. And it's not as if Nafani has a ton of cash either to just throw away this Mac 10. It normally is the expendable weapon. And they must have a good idea that there's not much of a buy from Spirit. So he may be just setting up for exit frags as opposed to going aggressively, and he should get the reward, but only gets 1 in retaliation. However, it's just a Mac 10. They'd much rather have assault rifles into the next round, so I doubt that Spirit will be content to just sit on that Mac 10. They'll probably still get aggressive, but it is starting to shape up as we've seen the last 2 maps fall in. Spirit doing well early doors, and then once Gambit have had the rifles, they started to eviscerate through this CT side. Spirit will actually hold on to the Mac 10, and they could maybe throw that across to like Mira, one of these lower $4,000 players. I'm curious if they will hold on to it or if they'll actually just fully upgrade. Let's find out.
The thing is, I feel like if anybody was going to play it, it would probably be Chopper. I think he's the only one that would actually try anything as crazy as that. Of course, that is something that a lot of the time comes down to being the in-game leader. You're making the sacrifices for the team, looking for information over necessarily being the hero. High disbalance, though. Going to be negated once again. Their mid-aggression has been very hit and miss, so it seems like they're falling into a much more standard setup now. Rotations coming around as at least there'll be a trade of the guard after no initial kill comes in. For the T's, though, they started to be awarded mid-control almost for free. With those battles not going the way of the CT side, they've just decided, okay, we won't fight it at all, and we'll take other map control instead.
Map control from Spirit, including ramp. We have seen some Young push down in this very position earlier when they lost that nail biter. With 5 seconds to spare, Inters dispatched comfortably by Chopper. Bomb actually dropped back towards T-spawn, and the fact that they've just lost a player around this vicinity means that Shiro will feel a bit more pressured to make sure he gets control sooner rather than later. Also just double checking to make sure they're not pushing behind through T-side. And Spirit actually have given this up. They got aggressive, they pulled back to site, sent over a 3rd player, gave up window, and that's allowed Hobbit to make the most of it. He's filled in instead. So this is a little bit grim for Spirit. There isn't that much time left on the clock. And with mollies and nades being exchanged, it stands to good reason from Spirit's perspective that this will be a B-centered hit. But now Nafani shows his hand with the AK. Sub 20 seconds. Gambit starting to retreat the bomb. They're going through connector, and they still haven't dealt with Young. Shiro's running in alone. There's no room for error here. Young could put this round to rest. 8 seconds to go. Tries to spray on the cross and gets it. Now just needs to stay alive. There's nowhere near enough time. There's nowhere near enough time to kill 3 players in the next couple seconds. And so Gambit will concede, and Axile just about survives. But that felt like, to me, Tom, it was actually Gambit this time that were a bit indecisive.
Yeah, I'm getting somewhat like flashbacks to like an old style Na'Vi where they're making some mid-round calls, some pretty bold ones, which I don't really necessarily have a problem with. However, what I do have a problem with is that in some of these later rounds, they're not really running things together. Like they're trying to leave too many players behind, too many lurkers to catch off rotations that they don't actually clear the sights or clear certain angles properly. And that is almost just playing like 50-50 Counter-Strike. Like you are hoping that your opponent hasn't played this round well enough for you to be baited in, or they haven't left someone behind. And that's now 2 occasions where Young has been perfectly placed. Intus just walks out and wrecks him though. The last couple of rounds or last few rounds, we've mentioned him being a player to cause them problems. Not this one.
That's a misplaced molly and smoke. That has allowed the CTs a chance to actually come through, but it works against them. Hobbit takes the head of Mia. I do wonder if he was maybe baited out and assuming that that was a fake smoke or fake Molotov that had gone slightly awry, and he thought no one would be up close. That could be some 500 IQ plays, but regardless, Chopper down to 36, getting flash time after time. Gambit maintaining the player advantage and showing, look, that last round, probably more us shooting ourselves in the foot than you guys actually winning it from us. We'll turn up the pace, and you can't really deal with us. You have to go back and save their 2 weapons.
It does actually seem like, in a sense, Spirit were almost ready for that sort of play. Like, they had a retake pretty much set up. It was just unfortunate that Young gets absolutely wrecked through the ticket booth, and well, there's not so much you can do about that unless you fall all the way back towards the spawn. But yeah, I like that from Gambit. It takes a lot of balls to do that. Like when you have a slip-up round to just go straight away, okay, well, we messed that up. Let's make sure time's not a factor. Let's just run into the site, take some aggressive fights, and try and win this off the basis of just our individual skill. And over the last few maps, there's been no doubt who's had the better individual skill, who's been winning most of those duels, who's been fighting more successfully in the early rounds. It has been in favor of Gambit, and while Magix, he's now looking to try and take things into his own hands. A great start from him. A turnaround, killing one man at the bottom, the other at top. We said in these Antico rounds, Gambit have really struggled in the past, and they get slaughtered. Magix takes them down. Boris the Animal rises.
A Grin nearly fully exposed as well. He's happy with that round. He picked up 4 with the AK used against the oncoming Ts. They gamble stacked A. It worked out for them. And now Gambit, they actually find themselves with very few weapons at their disposal. Hobbit could afford an AK, but apart from that, everyone else is pretty much tapping out. 1 smoke and 1 flash, splitting up across the map. So basically, a lot comes down to, can Hobbit get some entries? He's been pretty damn good over the duration of this best of 3. In fact, you could extend that to over the duration of this tournament. Been one of their stable players, not necessarily top fragging a great deal, but he's always in amongst the kills, always amongst the impact. Great flashbang, but actually bypasses the AK of Hobbit. And so that AK has gone unseen as of yet. Now the bomb gets picked up, and Gambit start to make a heading towards the B side of the map.
And that's actually been a pleasant surprise for me as well. Like when he first joined this roster, I think he did take on a little bit of the in-game leading responsibilities. Also when he was playing in Windstrike as well. And I honestly thought that was maybe the end for Hobbit, because like the way that they played, the aggressive stance that he had to take in so many rounds where he would just be running through Molotovs. I remember watching them, I think it was Windstrike play Vertigo, and it was infuriating because he would just have to try and challenge through smoke. This team with him in it now is a breath of fresh air. Like he has had a real resurgence from what was obviously a dying old Gambit roster that just never really seemed to do anything anymore, barely participated in any tournaments as well, to this one where not only is the whole team like young and almost looking to sort of break through, but he looks like he's been rejuvenated over the course of this team.
Yeah, a chance to reinvent himself, right? I mean, if you can mold these younger players that are exceptional talents, surely it also unlocks yourself as well, though, Tom. Like, if you're not having to carry everyone kicking and screaming, and you can actually rely on teammates to do their job and have impact, it just allows Hobbit to be that little bit more clear-minded, to focus on what he has to do to get the team across, to do his jobs. So you're really seeing the impact of that, and it's great to see, because I think a lot of people, not just you, but a lot of people wrote him off and said he'll probably never play towards the top tier ever again. His days are gone. He had the major, that's all well and good, but that's it for him. Oh, he's proving a lot of the doubters wrong right now.
You know, I'll quote Frankie and say that sometimes I like being wrong. It's good to see that he has risen back, and it's very good in this team. Of course, they're going to need him in this series. They may have got themselves a couple of maps, but that doesn't mean the next two are guaranteed. Even with Inferno being a strong one, we know that Team Spirit can play pretty much any map, excluding one, within this map pool. Nonetheless, both teams with a bye. A lot shakier, though, because Team Spirit, the last few rounds have been very clean. They've managed to make themselves a huge amount of cash, especially with the round that they won with a 4K coming out from Magix, because that's just free weaponry that they've managed to retrieve and boost their own economy, while on the other side, a couple of Galils, in fact, 3. And, well, sure, you've got the AWP onto Shiro, but hasn't had masses of success. And I think a lot of that is just the change of style from Spirit. The last few rounds, they've gone, you know what? Mid's not working. Let's avoid it. Let's try and play elsewhere. Let's allow them to execute. That's not necessarily Gambit's strongest suit. Sure, you have some fantastic entry fraggers, and, well, there might be one of them, but there is the other aggression. There's the other players taking control, as Chopper currently has Palace.
Palace under control, and so will CT side. Sundai Young needed to have impact. Gambit much slower on their aggression as opposed to overpass. It's something that the desk discussed, that they have this ability to play off individuals or tactically. Great headshot by Magic sends Nafani straight out of the round packing, but Shiro, he knows it's likely he's coming from CT side. Chopper was thinking of pivoting through on Palace, but with his teammate going down, just has to now think about holding on to this AK-47 instead. He has had a resurgence himself. He had a very disappointing train, but he's doing a pretty decent job. In fact, pardon me, not train, it was overpass. Doing a decent job here, though, with 10 kills. More the Chopper of old, but Gambit will tie us up at 6 apiece. More than enough funds for Spirit, though. They can come straight back in with their own purchase.
I think the same problems arise, though, in this round. Like, look at all of these picks that we're having in the latter stages. I didn't show all of them, but they were disjointed peaks. No one came in together for that retake. It was all one by one, and if they gathered up, they had the potential to have CT and Palace in a retake. That's rare. That's something you don't normally gather up too early on. So I feel like more so Chopper, although he got a kill, I think he needed to do more. I think that's such a powerful position to have, and for it to play no part. The only thing I can really question is, I think as well as I did, he thought he was going to be hunted. Like, he can't be allowed to keep that position, so they're going to push me. And nobody ever did.
They were too content with sitting on the site, knowing that it was all the emphasis had to go down to the CTs on that endeavor. Hobbit, though, with the entry, and it's that man we were just touching on, Chopper, has been vanquished. Idis Balance banished from the A side. Middle and A falling simultaneously. Sundai Young is the last bastion, the safeguard of the site, but for no longer. He has been put in his place, as are the rest of Spirit. This is another disappointing round. Just every duel seemingly going against them. Yeah, the bomb's way back at spawn, but they have the luxury of time, and on top of that, they have the luxury of completely outing the entirety of Spirit. And whereas their economy was looking so good a couple rounds ago, it's still good enough for a buy, but they are down to their last few pennies.
I think going back to that mid play is something that I'm not too happy with for Spirit. It wasn't really working early on because it is very much a domino effect. Like, you have one player who's almost playing anti-flash, another within the window. If the player in window misses their shot, the player who's playing anti-flash is dead. And then it just spirals out of control from there with re-aggression after re-aggression. Nafani, he's gone in with a Mac 10 for this round. That was part of the plan, and Idis Balance doesn't expect him to just blast his way through the window. And, well, these have been lightning fast rounds from Gambit. They've decided, you know what, those slower rounds where the clock played against us, I've had enough of those. We don't need to. We could just steamroll Spirit as we have in the last few maps. Sure, this is already the closest scoreline that we've had of all the maps so far. Getting to 6 rounds. But nonetheless, Magix now has to try and pull off a clutch. It's a 1v4 turn 3. And he's not even going to get any further. Shiro, as said, he's always in the right place at the right time. And I think that's the terrifying thing, Vince, because he is like that, but then also so is Hobbit. Like, Hobbit is so good at catching rotations on this map in particular. Like, the amount of times someone's just walked into his crosshair and he's gone, thank you very much, I'll take that one for free. And then if you somehow get past him, Shiro's in the exact same sort of position, just like, well, I'm not missing the shot ever, so good luck.
Yeah, and it's one of those cases where I think you create your own luck in Counter-Strike. You know, if you're in the right position, you have good game sense and the right crosshair placement, it kind of does half the job for you. Hobbit now spraying through that smoke, gets some Young, who goes out aggressive with the MP9. A 1-for-1 trade, but judging by lack of firepower and utility, and really how the momentum is significantly shifted away from Spirit into the hands of Gambit, this doesn't seem to be looking too great on Spirit. And keep in mind, yes, stats-wise, score-wise, it is one of the closest maps that we've had. But 3 of these 6 rounds were after they broke back the pistol. Beautiful 1-deke, though, from Chopper, who has to scurry away. The fact that Axile takes down 2 in the process, Molotov into Palace, and Chopper burns alive. Axile with a quickfire 3 could be on for a 4th. Magic's at range with the MP9. He's anticipating that he'll get pushed down from Axile, who gets a 4th, and it's fitting that he comes out swinging towards the end. It will be another Gambit half, 9-6 in the lead. Spirit need to come back or they're out of this grand finals.
Tone of voice you're using there, resentment flowing down the line. I can't stand when you are not near. We can sort it out when you're here.
Gambit with another lead coming through into the second half. And in our 4th map in our best of 5. This could end up being the final map and seeing Gambit crowned champions of DreamHack Open November, if they can convert from their CT side. And that's a big if, because Spirit, although they haven't been stellar by any stretch of the imagination, we've seen glimpses of what they're capable of, but Axile will dull the senses of some Die Young on B and instantly push them back.
Well, yeah, to add to that, throughout the tournament, Spirit have been up against the wall multiple times versus Floscola, versus Apex previously, even facing off against the Luminar in their semi-final. It definitely wasn't the cleanest of Counter-Strike, but they've won every single one of those maps. They've won every single one of those series. So we'd be foolish to count them out at this point. However, Gambit are one and the same. They have had a few close affairs, but they've 2-0'd every single series to this point. The first map they lost was the first of this series, and since then, they've been back in form. This pistol important for Spirit as they go executing into B.
Axile, after getting the opening pick, now perched on the bench, and it's nothing but headshots. He will get put down by Chopper. Aggression with the Glock P250 in the hands of Magic as he's taking damage, hemorrhaging. The T's now enveloping the site, looking to just steamroll, but it's Inters who brings out the sledgehammer, knocks down the wall of T's, and Spirit concede yet another pistol.
That was straight BS. He should have been dead for the majority of that round. Dances his way through the smoke and then manages to get an instant couple of headshots after what was a fair few whiffs in the mix. Now, we saw Team Spirit manage to win the force buy into the second round. That's what makes this scoreline seem so damning, if anything. They had a 3-round booster to start them off and still see themselves 4 rounds behind. This time, though, wow. If Gambits do lose this round, I will almost assume that they're just cursed when they come up against pistols at this point and just maybe send a cheeky DM to the coach of Spirit and just say, don't pick up rifles. Doesn't work for you. Because they've got 1 Deagle, Vince. Just 1. No grenades, nothing. Just Glocks and a single Deag.
And they're walking into a site. Inters is jump spotting for a smoke, and he's joined by Axile, who landed some very crispy, quick headshots. Additionally, Nafani is up close enough that he can quickly wrap around. He's actually in kitchen, so if the call comes out, he can quickly put that scout to use. Bomb drops down first. Inters has got himself 2. Runs out of ammunition, one of the downsides of the FAMAS, but he has strength in numbers. And it's only his life that is lost in the process. However, Spirit have a buy coming in right here, right now, and it's important to start this T-half off with a rifle win to just bridge the gap somewhat, break down that economy. Very important moment in our grand finals.
Something to point out as well, I'm fairly certain Mir was something like 5 or 6-0 at the start of this game. It's now, well, I was going to say 8-12, 8-13. The Shiro's Orps dropped over. There's a reason they put so much weight onto that AWP. And Axile, the sheer confidence to re-peek through short. You've got the man advantage. You don't need to take risks. But he'll do it nonetheless and double his money, leaving a 2-man disadvantage for Spirit. And a lot still to do with 1:25.
Well, just as I'm building up this narrative about how much Spirit need to win the rifle, they just go down with a whimper again. It doesn't feel like there's any bark. It doesn't feel like there's much fight in Spirit. I don't doubt that they want these grand finals, but I do wonder if they've maybe shied away from the occasion. If nerves have got the better of them, perhaps. If being the favorites has worked against them. Because you just said there, you hit the nail on the head. Gambit just have this aura of confidence about them. They're peaking maybe sometimes too much, but because they're playing so well, it doesn't matter. They're taking the fight to Spirit. They're keeping them at bay, choking them, constricting them constantly. And now Nafani goes in with the FAMAS. It's 2 kills. And Shiro will clean up the rest. And for the second consecutive round, Gambit only lose 1.
This is not what I was expecting. I was expecting a resurgence, a build-up, a break-back, maybe even a grand final in dominant fashion in favor of Spirit. I may joke about the predictions made on the desk, but I don't think any of us had anything different. We looked at Spirit from the very beginning of this tournament being a favorite. And, well, they've not looked like it in this series. Map 1 was pretty much part of the script, but Gambit since then have flipped it, rewritten it, and started obliterating their opponents. Mir will find one. He's been quiet since those early rounds, as mentioned. They need him to step up if they're going to have a chance, and Shiro just isn't giving anyone an opportunity. They are choking them out with utility, making sure there's no risk in this round whatsoever. And it's a battle to see who gets the defuse, and that's about the only battle we had in this round.
Choked on the fumes of the smoke, the toxicity of the Molotovs. And there's not really much that Spirit can do. They can be relatively happy that what effectively comes down to pistols yielded a bomb plant. Kind of expected a timeout here, if I'm being honest, Tom. I think this is definitely a situation that would earn one. Certainly would be justifiable. Mia's going to pick up an AK. They run through with full assortment of weaponry. Idis Balance will be switching. It was based off spawn. They decided better of that flash through middle. And a peek comes into play. Idis Balance can't see either of them. The fire actually blockaded his vision for their cross. And in doing so, he misses his shot, gets smoked off, and has to back off.
Been having a peek at some of the stats. I was looking at each map and just thinking, I feel like Shiro's barely been dying. Like, it just doesn't feel like he has. So far in this series, he is plus 26, not including this map, where he is currently, I think, what, like 13, 14, and 6, something like that. He might be about to get one of the like best sort of ratings we've seen in a best of 5. He's currently 1.48. And then it's actually Hobbit, and then it's Exile. Like, it's ridiculous how much depth they're currently playing with. We needed this trifecta of stars, and the fact is maybe we didn't need all 3 to win this at the moment, because Spirit are showing that they don't match up at all at this current time. 45 seconds. They finally gained mid control, but it's almost like it's been allowed for them. The opponents haven't really fought for it. They're waiting patiently. Nafani on the angle. There's also potential for a repeat to come out, but the flash is good from Magix. The timing, though, for Axel, he's looking for a multi-frag. The first goes his way, but Mir gets the trade just about. He's tagged low, and more importantly, they've still got other players to deal with, but Idis Balance catches Shiro on the rotation. It's left onto Hobbit. 18 seconds. If he can drop the bomb, maybe that will be enough, but they have it covered, or should do at least.
Running out of ammo, has no grenades to supply a push back onto the site, so needs to be raw entries. Enough money to justify going for this. If he can get a pick in the next few moments, he'll feel pretty good about his chances. But to be fair to Spirit, they're playing this very well. They have the cross covered by the AWP of Idis Balance, which means that Magix and Sundai Young do not need to wide swing. They don't need to look for information. And this is where the lack of grenades absolutely brutalizes Hobbit. But he has the clarity to know, yep, unlikely I win this. We've got a huge lead. Even though we can buy, why would I throw away this weaponry? There's no need to do it. So he will go back and save. And Spirit at least get one step closer. Some aggression finally working out, but there were moments, Tom. Exile's lineup, he so nearly got 2, and that could have put this round, that could have put these finals to bed.
Yeah, it's scary even when you're talking about like the positives of Spirit, that there were moments where you go, how does that happen? There's no one watching jungle. No one person saw him go in that direction. That's terrifying, because it very easily could have ruined their round. The peak from Idis Balance, though, I think was the game changer. Mid, though, this time being fought for a little more. The CT side wanting to try and get up in the faces of their opponents, and Exile has been one of the main culprits of getting away with murder. This time, though, Mir starting to come back into things a bit. This is exactly what they need, and he doubles up, but there's Hobbit. A resurgence at the ramp. As he finds 2, Shiro also kills off the man in middle, leaving some Dayung and Chopper to try and scurry to get back into this round. Resurgence
in ramp indeed. A windfall around window additionally, and now Spirit find themselves a player behind. They're trying to push into position, and Hobbit decides not to back off, but actually maintain his angle, the off angle. You typically will not get peeked from the upper side of this with this much time left. And only 2 players remaining, but does he second guess himself? Oh, he's seen the player, now he's seen the pixel, he's seen the shoulder, and he converts with the headshot. Chopper, living on borrowed time, looking to delay the inevitable. And there's a molly on top of the bomb. This will eat up valuable time now. Can't give away the sound cue. Hobbit goes into the upper angle. Chopper has a good idea he's up there, but can't connect the shot. Hobbit picks off a 4K. And they needed a big moment, and my God, did he deliver.
He's so annoying to play against. I can tell you now that, well, even if I was at the same skill level as this man, I think I would have punched a hole in my desk for playing against him. The timing of that push was nigh on perfect, and then from that moment onwards, everything he did, you couldn't have done it better. It's not possible. So nothing really that Spirit could do in that situation, and that is heartbreaking because everything they did up to that point, Mir's double in middle, was nigh on perfect. Like, gets 2 clinical entries, shuts down the aggression of Gambit, and well, again, they look like they're on their last legs. A buy-in. 2 rounds is all that Gambit needs. We've seen them develop from the youngsters into the full-fledged lineup and just get better and better. I genuinely wonder where is the limit for this team at this point, because coming into this tournament, beating Spirit didn't seem like a possibility. At the moment, they're making it look easy. With Masters coming up, I would fear this team. If you're one of the sort of favorites going into things, you've got to be prepared. You've got to be careful. Good start, though, from Chopper. He's going to find 2. The same as last round. Almost identical, in fact. Both players going down, but look who's here once again. Hobbit finds the first. Now, he spotted multiple players. Shiro's also dropped one on the cross at the same time, and now Mir jumps into action. He's seen Shiro. Inter's trying to save his teammate, but he's on his last legs. Even still, though, Vince, it ends up in a 2v2. However, Mir looking to try and do it all, and actually, Shiro misses a shot. That might be the first time this tournament I've said that phrase.
It definitely feels like the first time in this best of 5. He's been so on point with his AWPing. And there was an angle back into this round if he connects. They still haven't planted the bomb. He's gone all the way around. They still think that he's in CT. And he lands that flick. He lands that flick, but not the sitter right in front of him. Absolutely absurd. And now he's going to get picked again, and Shiro puts the bullet between the eyes and shatters Spirit.
It's almost like he let that one go. Just he was like, that one's too easy, Vince. I've got to get you excited. We've been battering them a little bit too much. Let's make this close. Let's make it interesting. And then the shot up here is just insane. He doesn't even let Mir touch the ground before he kills him off. And then, wow, why not end it with a headshot? I also think for an AWPer, he probably has pretty decent headshot percentage as well, which it's never a stat I've ever needed to look at. But I'm almost curious because he seems to land so many headshots with this gun. Mir, he's going back for more. Again, mentioning it, they got 2 entries into mid at the start of the round. That's back-to-back 3-on-5s that Spirit have lost.
Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. What could be the last moments? The dying embers of the grand finals. Good flash, good entry, but we've been here before. Maybe not on the B site, though. A very difficult site to retake at player deficit. And I think this is where those 3v5s start to catch up a little bit with Gambit. They save these guns, they can buy again. It's 1 of 8 championship points that slips through their fingers, but they won't care. They can still grind this one out, even if it takes 3 or 4 extra rounds. Really doesn't matter at the end of the day. A win is a win. And I completely agree with what you said before, Tom. I actually think that Gambit are perfectly poised right now to be that upset team in Masters. I think it's a team that on their day can take at least a map from almost any team on the planet. And you absolutely can't overlook these guys.
Well, for now, still got a little bit of a way to go. The thing as well is, as you look at sort of, I guess, trophies, that's something that teams are always going to be going for. Now, I'm not going to include like some of the cups we've seen both of these teams play through. We don't really consider those trophies, but We Play was one where there was an opportunity for Spirit. Unfortunately, that was stolen away. Na'Vi taking that one. They did get themselves in first in the road to Rio, but it's been a while. And for Gambit, well, I think we know some of the previous trophies that they've won, but not as this iteration, not as this roster. It's a very different, in fact, just one man standing. And if anything, he was the last addition to the team. He was not the man coming in and building this roster. He joined as a late comer. maybe took them to a new level. Shiro's in place. In fact, they've got multiple players waiting around this site, looking to try and end it here. It's the entries once again, but this time Inters responds. High praise from Hobbit, gives high praise from others as he gets the triple on the site defense, allows for a rotation to come in, and he's done it! Gambit have taken themselves the victory, Vince. They have got themselves that trophy as they win DreamHack Open November.
What a performance, not just from Shiro, not just from Axel, but each and every single one of these players giving it their all, supporting one another, fighting as a unit and winning as a unit. And who would have thought it, Tom? After that first map, when they got banged out so badly on Dust 2, they came back to go flawless.
No, I'm so impressed with this team. I've thoroughly enjoyed them all the way through this tournament. I think they've been incredible to watch. Like, genuinely, from start to finish, we saw players go missing. We saw players rise to the occasion. We saw incredible clutches. And Team Spirit today, unfortunately, they just couldn't match up against the Gambit roster who, well, they're still on the rise. I genuinely don't know at this stage where they can stop. I thought maybe they would be some sort of upset team here and there, but you never know. They're fighting towards what could be a top 15, top 10 roster.
I absolutely believe that. I think Spirit as well, though, we didn't see the best of those guys today, and I'm not going to judge them too harshly. It happens. Maybe the occasion got the better of them. It'll be disappointing, but they got to the finals, and they got beat by a really good team at the end of the day, so they can still hold their heads high. The overall performance, finals notwithstanding. But congratulations, Gambit. Absolutely deserved. Can't wait to see what they do on the Masters. But that's enough from us, Tom. We're going to go to the desk where they're going to break down all the juicy details for you guys and show you how Gambit played so damn well.
Thank you once more to the Big V and the Toxic Board. Incredible work, guys. And listen, in all seriousness, when this tournament began, Spirit were the favourites. Gambit, we thought they'd get to this point, but we didn't think they would take it over the line. And with all 5 players just determined to give it their all, this roster has just gone above and beyond improving what they're capable of. And Vu, listen, I've got to ask, have you ever been so happy to be wrong?
Actually, yeah, I kind of support Gambit winning the tournament. I was hoping they'd win it beforehand, and the way they won it is just beautiful CS to some extent. You know, the mid-rounding was so clean from Gambit, despite the fact that they were losing a ton of opening duels, not only on Mirage, but on some other maps as well, and they would just pivot in the chaos and make it look so clean. You love to see it.
Absolutely. And Blair, I mean, there is one man in particular who really turned around the fortunes for his team, especially after that disastrous Dust 2.
Yeah, it has to be, I think, almost every one of them, right? Like, Axel really started with Shiro. The guy doesn't miss. And if he misses, he still clutches it out in the end. The guy is a god. Just want to point out very quickly, in the final 3 maps, after beating Gambit 16-8, Spirit weren't able to get 16 rounds in 3 maps. Let that sink in. That's how dominant Gambit were. And like Vu said, the mid-calling was spectacular. I have to agree with Tom as well that Spirit weren't playing at the level which we expect from them. There were so many mistakes being made by the individuals as well, which is something which you don't expect to see. We of course have the this will be the results from the final map. And again, no one in particular having to go above and beyond. Axel, Shiro, Hobbit, Interest, everyone stepping up, and this is what you want to see.
And Spirit were actually more successful in opening duels this time around. I mean, you've kind of already mentioned that, guys. But it's just that flexibility from Gambit. They're just so good at not panicking in those 2vx situations. And I literally don't understand how a team who has relatively little experience at this level in tournaments of this standard, I don't understand where they learn that from. Coach Vu, how do you teach a team just that wisdom and that confidence of mind?
I'll answer that. Hobbit.
Hobbit. You know what? Hobbit should change his name to Gandalf because his clutches are magic. Just that the presence of mind to push forward on ramp and just wait for that chopper rotate, burn the bomb, just wait for him to come into your literal clutches. Mwah, c'est magnifique. And there is another magnificent man waiting for us in the chat room right now because we've got Axile on the line. Axel, and the team. This is arguably the biggest victory for you guys so far. Harash, how does it feel to be the champions of DreamHack Open November?
Yeah, of course, it's always feels good when you won the tournament. So it's always pleasure to win, like such a good tournament.
Hobbit, do you mind passing the headset to Nafani? Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Is that
sure.
all right?
Of
I feel
course,
like
of
we're
course.
going to pass it round. I love this. It's like pass the parcel.
Hello.
Hello, Nafani. Congratulations. Thank you for joining us. From watching Hobbit play, we were just talking about him before we got you on the line. He is so good in those clutch situations, and I'm just wondering if he is responsible for all of you now being so good when you're down a few members and yet you're able still to win the round.
To be honest, I don't know what to say because Hobbit probably one of the best players in our region. So that's all.
I mean, Nafani, how does it feel to be one of the best teams?
I guess we're not. We feel. Thank you. I mean. I mean, it's really nice to feel like when you're winning. But anyway, it's like tier 2 teams on this tournament, and we want more. I mean, we want to be like tier 1 team.
Well, you are playing against tier 1 teams in DreamHack Masters. You're going up against the Cloud9 Colossus. Are you ready?
Yes, I believe we can. At least it will be fight versus them, because in my opinion, Cloud9 it's a good team. They have really strong players, and they have good captain, Alex. They have all things that they need to win, but we will try to beat them. So
I'm sure you will. I'm going to pass over to Blair. Sorry, I'm hogging them. I love champions. What can I say?
No, that's fun. Firstly, congratulations. I have a very simple question. It's a very easy one. The chair Shiro is sitting on, he doesn't sit on a gaming chair. Is that like a special weapon? Is that what gives him his special abilities? What is with that chair? I need to know this.
to be honest, as I know, he has some problems with gaming chairs because these things.
Okay.
So we tried this one, and he liked it. So he playing like
It's
this.
working. It's working.
Yeah, it's working. Yeah, right.
Fu, have you got a question?
Yeah.
You can ask. I mean, I don't know if Fu, you want to talk to another member of the team. We've got them all here.
No, this is perfect. This is perfect. I wanted to ask if you guys practice against Spirit often. Is there metagaming going on there? Do you scrim them at all?
I guess we practiced versus Spirit like one time in 2 years. I mean, it was when we play in Kiev, and so it was only 1-2 as I remember, and that's all. We never practice versus CS teams because it's our region and we should play RMR tournaments. So that's why.
Nafani, this is a strange question, but does Shiro speak English? Because I've not been able to interview him before.
He didn't speak English well, but he can understand like some words.
Can you give him the headset quickly? Is that okay?
Диман, тебя
Just
просят.
really
Давай.
quickly, I want to speak to you,
Быстро.
Shiro. Really quick.
I don't speak English, guys.
But Shiro, I just wanted to say,
You just did.
I just wanted to say, Shiro, that you are our player of the tournament. What does that mean for you?
I don't know. My English is so very bad.
That's fine. We think you're amazing. That's what I wanted
Yeah,
to say
thank
to you. You are our tournament MVP. We're just seeing some of your stats here. Congratulations. And
Thank you.
and also, Axel, I know you probably can't hear me right now, but you are definitely our DTS player of the day. You really turned things around for your team. And we're seeing some highlights now. I don't know if we're able to get the headset to Axel as well.
Okay.
I'm being so cheeky here. Shiro can. When I see Shiro on the sidelines, we are having an interview. I think there's some
we have
good
Axel.
English. I think there's some very good English there. Axel, that performance from you today. Talk to me about how you managed to turn things around for Train and just inspire the rest of your team to put on a show.
What? Can you repeat?
Of course. Basically, you also played like a monster, especially on train after that difficult loss on Dust 2. So I just wanted to ask how you guys managed to get things back on track and win that second map.
After first map, we just, I don't know, we just talk about the first map, just focus on our game, and I don't know.
That's absolutely fine. Listen,
I just eat chocolate every before every map. Yeah, it just
Okay. That worked.
it was good.
you,
Yeah.
you all did great. Inters, I can see at the back. I haven't had a chance to talk to you, but I also know that you guys have got a really important match tomorrow. So, congratulations. I saw that, Shiro. Thank you so much for putting up with all of our questions. Congratulations on being the champions of the DreamHack Open November. Спасибо.
Hell yeah. Oh, flex.
Amazing. Sorry, I just wanted to speak to everyone. I miss players. What can I say, Blair? I'm an embarrassment to the desk.
I miss Lance. I miss events. They look happy. They should be happy. I think they. I'm also super happy to hear Shiro speak. He spoke good English, honestly.
It's one of those things where he goes, I don't speak English. I only speak enough to tell you that I don't speak English, you know?
Yeah, I think I scared him off, lads. I'm not going to lie, but hopefully one day he's going to feel confident enough to speak to us because he's clearly got no confidence issues on the server. It is time, gentlemen, for our top 5 plays of the day. Sadly, we didn't get to see 5 maps, but we did get quite a few. In fact, you know what? We're not going to do top 5 plays of the day, although we had a lot of them. We're going to do top 5 plays of the tournament because, of course, this is the end of the grand final, boys. So here we go. Blair, do you want to do number 5?
Yeah, let's start it off. Shiro with the ace and with the AWP. And this was against, of course, earlier where they were just feeding him, basically. He was just hitting every single shot. It was a map which he lost, but, you know, you can kind of see signs of Shiro waking up. And oh boy, when he woke up, it was unstoppable. Gambit could do nothing here.
And here we've got one from day one. Chauzy, they were eliminated without winning a map, but not without winning some nice clutches from Chauzy. The boy that we've seen in many an interview, 15. Beautiful.
Mention it one more time, why not? On Inferno now, AGF versus Gambit. This is Shiro just showing that incredible game sense, knowing when to pivot, when to reposition, and knowing that they're coming for the bomb. Beautiful, deadly stuff, gentlemen.
I like how it's Shiro everywhere in the top 5 plays here. Number 2 is gonna be maybe my personal favorite moment. Not the cleanest of rounds, but Nafany with the dualies. I will never get sick of seeing dualies, especially on Inferno. He gets the ace, and that makes me a very, very happy man. And of course, we should have number 1 coming up as well.
Now, those dualies look so good, but you know what looks better? It's this play from Axile. USP in hand, pulls out the op, styling on the opposition. Axile, player of the day. This was a beauty of a play.
Yeah, this was just sick. I think this kind of broke them as well. And there were 2 rounds yesterday where they just won with these BS rounds and they just pulled it off. But yeah, today was no BS. Today was actual legit great Counter-Strike, and Gambit, man, they have just impressed me. They've even proven Vu wrong. No one has done it so far. They've done it.
I know. It's incredible. It's incredible. Before we go, we've got to say a massive thank you to our sponsors because we couldn't do this without them. They are, of course, Intel, MSI, Corsair, Monster Energy, and DTS. And don't forget that DreamHack Masters Winter kicks off tomorrow. Gambit are going to be playing Cloud9, and Spirit are actually going to be opening things up against FaZe Clan. So luckily for them, they didn't have to play 5 maps. They got a bit of time to have a breather and have a prep. I'm sure they're going to come back fighting tomorrow. Blair, Vu, it's been an absolute pleasure. Blair, have you enjoyed yourself?
Absolutely. It's always great at DreamHack events. I had a bit of a break in November. I was feeling kind of lonely, and here we are back in action again.
Well, I know you're going to be casting next week, so that's going to be an absolute treat. And you'll be casting with Dinko, right?
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Can't wait for it. And Vu, how did you do?
I hated it, you know. It's a great time. Great, you know. We got some banter, you know. Frankie, you probably got the better of me for the most part. Definitely said some very mean things. But
I love a good.
she's very nice behind the scenes. She's very nice behind the scenes at the very least.
I've got a reputation.
Sure.
I've got a
Pull back the
reputation
curtain.
to uphold. I only give it to people who can give it back, and you're definitely one of those people, Vu. Thank you so much for being part of the desk, and I hope to work with you again on another one. And that is it from us here at the DreamHack Open November. Thank you so much to all of you guys for watching, and to everyone who made this happen. We'll see you tomorrow for DreamHack Masters Winter. Good night.